I found the lake by accident, and the first thing I noticed was that it did not match the world around it. The afternoon was bright. Thin clouds drifted high and harmless. Sunlight cut through the trees in clean lines. Birds argued in the branches. My boots crunched dry leaves. Everything felt ordinary. Then I reached the water, and the sky inside it was wrong. The lake sat in a bowl of pine and stone, smooth as glass, dark as ink. But it was not reflecting the pale clouds above me. In the surface, I saw heavy storm clouds, low and thick, turning like slow smoke. The light in that reflection looked like late evening, not midday. I even saw a few faint stars, as if night had been trapped under the water and could not climb out. I waited for my eyes to correct the mistake. They did not. The wrong sky stayed there, steady and deep, like the lake carried its own weather, its own time. I had been hiking alone for hours, following an old trail that was not on my phone. There was no signal, which I liked. The plan was simple. Walk until my thoughts got quiet. Eat something. Turn back before dark. But the moment I saw that reflection, my thoughts sharpened like a knife. I tried to explain it away. Shadow, angle, a cloud behind me. I stepped left and right, crouched and stood, leaned over the water until my face almost touched it. The storm clouds in the lake leaned back. I did not see my reflection, not my face, not my shoulders, not even the trees behind me. Only that other sky, rolling slowly, like it was breathing. Then lightning flashed under the surface, silent, white, deep. Not in the real sky, under the water. The flash lit the lake from below, and for a split second revealed a shape in the dark. A long curve, like a spine under skin, sliding away before my brain could name it. I stumbled back, and the birds went quiet at the same time, as if someone shut a door on sound. My heart started doing that ugly thing where it beats too hard and too fast, like it is trying to climb out. I forced a laugh, because fear makes me angry at myself, and I told the trees that I was tired and seeing things. The lake did not care. I walked along the shore until I found a flat stone that jutted out over the water. On it sat a neat stack of smooth rocks. Someone had been here recently. The stones looked clean, like they had been handled with care. Next to the stack was a small metal tin, the kind people use for matches. It was open. Inside was a folded note. Do not look for your sky. That was all. No name, no date. Just block letters, firm and careful. I told myself it was a prank, a hiker trying to scare strangers, a joke that only worked because the lake was already strange. Still, my fingers shook when I put the note back. A soft sound rose from the water. Not a splash, not a wave. More like a slow inhale you feel in your chest. Come closer. It was not loud enough to be a voice in the air. It formed behind my eyes, like the lake was thinking at me, pressing the words into my skull. I snapped my head around, scanning the trees. No one. But the forest did not feel empty. The trunks stood too straight. The shadows held too still. Even the sunlight seemed to stop at the edge of the water, unwilling to touch it. I backed away from the stone and forced myself to leave. I walked 10 steps and stopped, because the trail I came from was gone. There should have been a narrow opening between ferns, a line of packed dirt leading back up the slope. Instead, there was thick brush and young trees tangled together like they had been growing there for years. My stomach dropped so hard, I felt it in my knees. I pushed aside branches, sure I was just looking in the wrong place. I stepped into the brush anyway. Twigs snapped. Leaves slapped my face. The smell was sharp and wet, like crushed pine needles. Behind it, more trees. I walked along the shoreline, faster now, searching for the trail. I found only shoreline curving on and on, stones, pine needles, and water that stayed too smooth. The lake had no end. It sat there, like it had always been there, and I was the mistake that wandered into it. I pulled out my phone. No service. My compass spun, then settled on a direction that changed every time I blinked. I took a long breath and told myself to stay calm. Trails are easy to miss. Panic makes you stupid. Then I looked at the lake again, and the sky inside it changed. The storm clouds were darker now. Between them hung a pale moon with a bruised ring around it. Under that moon, on the far shore of the reflected world, I saw a line of trees that looked like mine, but wrong. They leaned inward as if listening, and standing at the waterline, I saw a figure. It was shaped like a person, but too tall and too thin, like it had been stretched. It did not move. It just waited. I blinked hard. It stayed. I took one step toward the water before I could stop myself, like my body needed proof. The figure raised its head. It looked straight at me. I lifted my hand, not waving, just testing. And the figure lifted its hand too, with a small delay, as if it had to decide what my motion meant before copying it. That is when I understood why I could not see myself. The lake was not reflecting me. It was learning me. I stepped back. The figure stayed, hand raised, head tilted. I turned away and pushed into the trees, away from the water. The ground climbed. Brush grabbed my sleeves. I walked until the lake should have been out of sight. Then I heard the whisper again, closer now. Come closer. I looked up. The real sky was still bright. Thin clouds still drifted overhead. But the light felt bent, like it was being pulled towards something behind me. I turned, and through the trunks I saw the lake again, even though it should have been hidden. It appeared between trees, like a hole in the world, always on my left, always close enough for the whisper to reach me. I tried to change direction. I zigzagged. I climbed uphill. I moved until my legs burned. The lake kept finding a way into my sightline, like it wanted to stay within reach. I tried to make my own markers, like I'd been taught. I snapped a dead branch and laid it across a rock pointing away from the water. I scratched an arrow into the dirt with a stone. I tore a strip from my shirt and tied it around a low branch. Then I walked 50 steps, turned, and looked back. The branch was gone. The arrow was gone. The strip of cloth still hung there, but it was tied into a neat knot I did not make, pulled tight like a warning. The loose ends pointed toward the lake. My mouth went dry. The fear shifted into something worse. A cold certainty that I was not lost by accident. Something was actively correcting my choices, tightening the area around me, keeping me near the water. I kept moving anyway, telling myself that a body of water cannot chase you. It is just water. It is just a place. But the forest stopped feeling like a place. It felt like a trap that pretended to be a trail. I climbed over a fallen log and scraped my shin. I did not stop to check the blood. I kept walking. The ground should have risen away from the shore, but it felt like I was walking on a flat circle, always returning to the same height, the same damp smell, the same hush. Once, through a gap in the trunks, I saw something in the lake that made me stop. The reflected night showed a shoreline that was not empty. There were shapes that looked like tents, a fire ring, a cooler, the small signs of people who thought they were safe. The fire was burning in the reflection, bright and steady, but there was no smoke. Then one of the tents moved, like something inside sat up, and I realized those were not tents. They were lumps, low and rounded, arranged in a circle, the way bodies lie when they are placed, not when they fall. I looked away so fast my neck hurt. My throat tasted like metal. My hands felt numb. I became aware of how quiet my own footsteps were, as if the forest was swallowing even me. After a while, I realized I was not walking around the lake. I was walking in a loop. The trees were repeating. The same crooked trunk, the same split in the bark, the same patch of moss shaped like a handprint. It was subtle at first, but once I saw it, I could not unsee it. Then I ran. I ran until my lungs burned and my vision pinched at the edges. And I burst back onto the same flat stone, the same stack of rocks, the same open tin. It felt like the woods had reset me, like a bad dream that refuses to end. My hands shook when I grabbed the note again. This time I noticed faint writing on the back, like it had been erased and written over. If it shows you night, do not sleep. My blood went cold. I looked at the water. The reflected sky was fully night now. The bruised moon hung low. Stars crowded close like eyes that did not blink. The figure stood at the edge, closer than before. Its fingers curled slowly, beckoning. Come closer. The surface rippled, not from wind, but from something moving under it. A long shape pushed up from below like a ridge. It slid toward the shore, leaving a line of disturbed reflection behind it. I backed away until I hit something solid. A cabin. It had not been there before, I was sure of that. Now it stood among the trees. Dark wood, small porch facing the water like an eye. Its door was open. Every part of me screamed to run, but there was nowhere else to run. The forest had already proven it could fold space. I ran to the cabin because walls felt better than open water. The porch boards creaked under my weight, wet and loud. Inside, the cabin smelled like damp stone. A lamp was lit on a table, casting a small circle of yellow. I had not brought a lamp. The light was waiting for me. On the table lay another sheet of paper. Lock the door before sleeping.
I slammed the door and locked it. Then I dragged the table closer because my hands needed something to do besides shake. Outside, the forest went silent. Then came a knock on the wall near the window. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. The tapping moved, sliding along the wall as if something walked outside, touching the cabin like it was counting. It stopped at the door. The knob turned slowly. Then a voice came from the other side. My voice. Open the door. It was my tone, my rhythm, even the tiny impatience I hate hearing in myself. I had not spoken since reaching the lake, yet it used my sound like it owned it. "Open the door," it said again, softer. "Just a little." I did not answer. The knob turned harder. The door shook once, a test. The voice tried a different angle, gentle and familiar. "It is getting late. You do not want to be out here." I stayed silent. Footsteps crossed the porch. Bare feet on wood. Slow. Heavy. The boards creaked as something stood right in front of the door. The voice spoke close to the crack. "Look at the lake." I moved to the window, 1 inch at a time, like my body belonged to someone else. Through the trees, the lake was visible, and the sky inside it was not just night. It was a night I did not recognize. The stars sat in the wrong places. The moon looked closer, like it had dropped lower to watch. Near the shore, in the surface, I saw my face. Not a reflection, not a mirror. My face, floating under the water, eyes open, staring up at me as if I was the surface. My lips moved soundlessly, shaping words I could not hear. The voice at the door whispered, pleased, "That is your sky." My stomach rolled. I swallowed hard. It wanted me to accept the idea that my world was the reflection and the lake was the truth. It wanted me to look for my sky inside it. It wanted me to trade places. "Sleep," the voice said. My eyelids felt heavy at once, like the word carried weight. I bit down hard on my tongue. Pain flared, hot and real, and it pulled me back. I stared at the paper on the table. "Do not sleep. Lock the door." The tapping returned, faster now. Many taps all at once, like fingers or branches drumming. Then came scraping, deliberate, like nails on wood. The cabin walls shivered. I backed into the corner by the lamp and forced my eyes to stay open. The voice dropped the gentle act. "Open the door." I did not answer. The scraping stopped. Silence. Then a soft sound came from the chimney area, like someone breathing through a narrow pipe. "Sleep," it whispered again, and the lamplight dimmed as if the wick had been pinched. My knees buckled. I slid down the wall, fighting to keep my eyes open. Outside, wood creaked deep and slow, like trees bending. The whole forest seemed to lean toward the cabin. The door handle rattled. The table vibrated. Then, I heard water, close now. Not a splash. A slow slosh, like something heavy entering the shallows and dragging itself toward the porch. The footsteps on the porch stepped away, then back, excited. The voice spoke one last time, calm and close. "We found you." The words froze my blood. The lamp flickered, and for a moment the room went darker, and in that darkness I smelled wet pine needles, sharp and fresh, like the lake had moved inside. I forced myself up. The cabin was not safety, it was just a smaller circle. I looked for anything useful and saw a small hatchet hanging on the wall, old but clean. I grabbed it. The door shook again, harder. The table slid. I ran to the back of the cabin and found a second door, locked. I hit it with my shoulder. Pain flared. It held. Above the sink was a small window with a latch. I swung the hatchet and shattered the glass. Cold air rushed in. For the first time in hours, I heard the real forest again. Faint, but present, like sound returning from far away. I climbed through, cutting my palm, and dropped outside. I ran into the trees without looking back. Behind me, whispers rose in layers, overlapping, repeating the same command. Come closer. It was not one voice anymore. It was many, as if the lake had mouths everywhere. Branches grabbed at my clothes, roots tried to hook my ankles. My lungs burned. Then I saw packed dirt ahead. The trail. The real trail. I stumbled onto it and followed it without thinking. The whispers faded behind me like water draining from a sink. The air warmed. Birds returned, like someone turned the world back on. I did not stop until I reached my car. It was where I left it. The sky above it was still bright and calm. I climbed in and locked the doors with shaking hands. The engine started on the first turn, and the sound felt too loud, like I was breaking a rule. I drove without looking back, but I could not stop myself from checking the rearview mirror. The tree line looked ordinary. Then the light behind it shifted, just for a second, like stormlight pushing through. And in that pale smear of reflection, I saw something that did not belong on the road. A patch of water. Just a small puddle on the dirt, shining like glass. In that puddle, the wrong sky rolled, dark and bruised, and the moon stared up at me. I looked forward again and kept driving. Later, when I finally stopped at a wider part of the road where the trees opened and the air felt normal, I checked my phone. A message sat there from an unknown number. No missed calls, no signal bars, just the preview. Only 3 words. Look for your sky. My hands went cold. Because I never told anyone where I was going. I never said the lake out loud. And I never, not once, told it my number. But it found a way to follow me out. And it did not need to chase. It just needed me to look down at the screen, read the words, and think about the lake again. Because the truth is this: I left the forest. I left the cabin. I left the water. But ever since that day, when I catch my reflection in dark glass, it is never fully mine. Sometimes the light behind my eyes looks like stormlight. And sometimes, just for a blink, I swear I can see stars that are not in this sky. If you ever find a lake that reflects a different sky, do not try to understand it. Do not look for your sky. Do not stand there long enough for it to learn your shape. Leave while the trail still exists. And if you ever get a message from a number you do not recognize that tells you to look for your sky, do not reply. Do not delete it. Do not stare at it. Turn your phone face down and walk away from every mirror you can find. Because once a place like that knows you have seen it, it does not need you to come back. It can bring a piece of itself to you, and it only takes a single reflection to open the door.